Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. I only have a couple of items. The first one is I try in these vlogs to, well, obviously I do things that are of interest to me, but also to share stories that I think are important, especially to conservatives, that I don't think are being covered in the so-called mainstream media. This is one of those stories. FBI's Russian collusion case fell apart in first month of Trump presidency, memos show. The piecemeal release of FBI files in the Russia collusion investigation has masked an essential fact. James Comey's G-Men had substantially debunked the theory that Donald Trump's campaign conspired with Moscow by the time the 45th president was settling into the Oval Office, according to declassified memos, court filings, and interviews. And that means a nascent presidency and an entire nation were put through 2 more years of lacerating debate over an issue that was mostly resolved in January 2017 inside the Bureau's own evidence files. The proof is now sitting in plain view. In rapid-fire sequence, in January 2017, U.S. officials received multiple warnings about the credibility of informant Christopher Steele and his dossier, affirmed key targets of the FBI counterintelligence investigation made exculpatory statements denying collusion to undercover sources, concluded retired Lieutenant General Mike Flynn, Trump's first national security advisor, was not engaged in collusion with the Russians. The latter revelation has mostly escaped much notice, which is why I'm telling you about it. The latter revelation has mostly escaped much notice, contained in a single sentence in a once sealed court motion filed by Flynn defense attorney Sidney Powell that requested what is known as Brady material, or evidence of innocence. That motion, dated September 11, 2019, requested access to, quote, an internal DOJ, Department of Justice, document dated January 30th, 2017, in which the FBI exonerated Mr. Flynn of being, quote, an agent of Russia, unquote. Quote, according to an internal DOJ memo dated January 30, 2017, the one I just mentioned, after the January 24th interview, the FBI advised that based on the interview, the FBI did not believe Flynn was acting as an agent of Russia, quote, Mueller's team wrote in the letter. In other words, all the way back in January 2017, the very beginning of Trump's term, Mueller, who headed the investigation that took 2 years, cost I think $43 million, he had written to the FBI saying that there was nothing there. There was no case. Yet the FBI went ahead. And we all know what happened after that. It's really a shame. It's really too bad. I would not hold my breath waiting for the major papers and the 3 big networks to report that, so I just did. Now, on to the main subject, and this is going to be it for today. As you may have noticed, the stock market is dropping like a rock. Over 5,000 points, I believe, by now on the Dow. People are, this is my conclusion, a lot of people are panicking. Actually, some people are getting margin calls, which is another piece of good advice, because that's what I'm going to do. As you can tell, I am not a spring chicken, so I have been through a few of these market crashes, and I'm here today to offer a bit of encouragement to everybody. I'm saying don't panic, but I'm also going to say don't buy stocks on margin, number one. Number two, don't buy stocks with all of your money. Don't put all of your money into stocks. That's why, to just get to the don't put all your money into stocks either. Number one, because if you put your entire savings, you're going to panic when the market goes down and you're going to sell at the wrong time. There may be some smart people out there who know exactly when to sell and then when to get back in. Most of us are not that smart, including me. And I would also add, now that I'm thinking of it, a quote from Baron Rothschild, one of the most successful investors in history. He was asked the secret of his fortune, how he became so wealthy, and his answer was this: I always bought too late and sold too soon. In other words, he didn't try to pick the bottom of whatever market he was interested in. He waited for the prices to bottom out and then start to come up. I might have some advice on that too, if my aging brain can remember by the end of this vlog. But, well, actually, I'll give it to you right now, because this is what I do. When the market is going down, you can now, thanks to the internet, you can go on, say, finance.yahoo.com, finance.yahoo.com, or there's probably some other websites or your favorite internet trading company, Charles Schwab or whatever. You can bring up charts of stocks that you may be interested in, but you can also apply indicators, and one of them that's very good is a 50-day moving average. So my advice is don't try to pick a bottom. Wait for whatever you're interested in to come up and to close above its moving day average. And then if you want, you can put, say, an 8% decline from wherever you buy it. Just keep that in your head, and if it closes below that, then you might want to get out, unless you're really holding for the long term. If you're not really interested in paying that much attention, then just buy an index fund, because that's what I'm going to talk about in a minute. But I just wanted to get that through. Don't put all of your money into one stock. I do that all the time, where in my head I'll look at stocks, say Microsoft, and really soaring. I have just a few shares of Microsoft stock, and I'll say, boy, I wish I had bought a lot more shares. Maybe I'm going to buy a whole bunch more now, but it's not a good idea. My personal advice, to put all your money into one thing or too much. Diversify. That way, if something goes down, then it's not going to hurt your whole portfolio. And then, as I said, wait till something goes above its 50-day moving average. What I would do is, depending how much money you have, maybe put 1% of your money into a particular stock, and then put a stop 8% below whatever price you got in at, and then your maximum loss, if the stock goes against you, would be 8% of 1%. It's not going to hurt you very much if that one stock goes down. Do you see? And then you can wait for the stock to come up above the 50-day moving average. You can get back in. You can still have plenty of money. But my main piece of advice is not to panic. As I was saying, I've been through a few of these crashes. The big ones, I may have missed a couple from my memory, but the big ones were obviously the one that led to the Great Depression, the crash of 1929. Then there was the 1987 crash. That was a major crash. Then there was the 2000 crash. That wasn't so long ago. Well, it may be for some of you watching this, I don't know how old you are. Maybe you weren't even born then, or you were just children. But that was the so-called dot-com bubble. And then most recently, we had the 2008 crash. Remember that? That wasn't so long ago. That was right before the election that elected Barack Obama. And it was probably the panic over that crash that had helped get him elected. But here is the question, though, because it's what I'm talking about as far as trying to time the market and panicking. I just mentioned these great crashes: 1929, 1987, 2000, 2008. People would panic and sell, or you would try to pick a bottom when to get back in. Now, this is the question. What would have happened if you had bought stocks, if you had put money into an index fund? Obviously, they didn't exist way back in 1929, but they do today. So that is an option, and you can pick more than one index too. But suppose you had put money into the Dow Jones stocks right before each of those crashes. Right before, well, for 1929, what if you had put money into stocks in 1928? Before the 1987 crash, what if you had bought stocks in 1986? What if you had bought stocks in 1999, the year before the 2000 dot-com bubble crash? What if you had bought stocks in 2007, right before the 2008 crash? First, look at this chart. This is a chart of the Dow Jones, a historical chart going back about 100 years. Look at that chart. Now here is the same chart with some dates filled in or noted. You see what I'm talking about? Look where the stock market is today after 1928, after 1986, after 1999, after 2007. If you had bought stocks, or if you had bought them earlier and you were just holding on to them, if you had not panicked and sold, or if you were the world's worst investor and bought stocks right before the crash, or bought the Dow Jones right before each of these major crashes, if you had held, look where you would be. You would be way ahead. And that is my message for today. Stay calm. Let these other people go crazy and sell, because you could say, oh, I lost this much money in the market because the market went down so much. You only lose money if you sell. All right? You sell, you take the loss, then you're going to lose money, obviously. But if you hold on, you haven't lost money until you sell. Hang on, the market will come up. Now, I do want to, in fairness, give a caveat. Obviously, some stocks go down and then they stay down and they never come back up. That's why you want to try to buy good companies. But as I said, diversify. It's very easy to diversify these days by buying an index fund. You can buy the Dow Jones index, which is 30 stocks. You can buy the S&P 500 index, which is 500 stocks. I don't know how you would, well, you could get more diversified than that, because you can buy the Russell index, which is 4,000 stocks. You can also, well, I practice what I preach. I have the NASDAQ index. I had bought it before the dot-com bubble. It went down, but it's, I think it's, I haven't checked lately, but it's quintupled since then. But that's the other part of it. I don't go crazy checking stocks every day. In fact, what I do is, what I'm doing now is, if the market plunges, I don't even look again until the market hits a new high. When it hits a new high, then I'm going to look. Otherwise, maybe once in a while, but I don't even bother with it. So that's it. That's my investment advice for today, and that's the vlog for today. As usual, thumbs up if you like this vlog, this video. Share with anybody you think would also like the video. You can put in any comments you might have, or investment advice, or your investment experiences in the comment section below the video, as well as any questions you might have, suggestions for future topics. And as always, I would love to get more subscribers. So subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. And also, as always, and finally, come back and see me again. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.